The creatures that you encounter in the desert Southwest are often misunderstood. Let's have a look at some that I've come to know living in Tucson, Arizona the last decade. Combining expert content on outdoor adventures with videography tips and tutorials. Visual Adventures with Kurt Papke. Let's begin with rattlesnakes, specifically the Diamondback, since it is the snake you are most likely to encounter in the Sonoran Desert. It's highly venomous, but really doesn't want to waste it on you. They'd rather use it to paralyze their prey. The film you're watching right now is from my front yard. The bird let the snake get a little too close and got bit. It fluttered about 25 feet and dropped. The snake found it in moments, sniffed around a bit, and decided to swallow it head first. Snakes can unhinge their jaws, which allows them to swallow large prey. Once swallowing was complete, the snake slithered off to find a quiet spot to digest its meal, like this one that likely ate one of the pack rats living beneath my pool heater and nestled in next to the pump. Don't think you just have to look down to see snakes. These two were coiled up about 8 feet off the ground in a tree. They might have been mating, we're not sure. Gopher snakes are very common in Arizona, and though they resemble diamondbacks, they have no rattle nor venom. They seem to like to follow the edges of our house. These guys can get huge, up to 8 feet long. This one I saw in the Superstition Mountains wasn't quite that big, but it was scary big. Also common in Arizona are king snakes. Like the gopher snakes, they have no rattle nor venom. They are easy to pick out by the black color and light rings. Our Ring doorbell captured footage of this snake that had climbed a structure on our front porch, then fell to the ground. I'm just glad I didn't go out and see who was at the door. You would think that squirrels and quail would be petrified of rattlers, but as you can see, this ground squirrel was taunting the reptile, and the quail kept their distance but didn't bother to fly away. Speaking of squirrels, you don't see a lot of them in Arizona, but they're there. They just blend into the landscape really well. Let's have a look at lizards, starting with the Gila monster, which to me looks like a dinosaur. You would think that the pink coloration would make them stand out, but they actually blend in pretty well, especially in dappled lighting. We get baby Gila monsters in covered holes that house our drip irrigation system, but this little guy climbed out and was attracted by the water I was providing a new tree. Collared lizards are a real treat when you see them in the wild with their vibrant colors. We see them most often in the Tortolita Mountains. Spiny lizards look similar to collared, but they are not as colorful and get a bit larger. They are common during the warm summer months and are often found sunning themselves on a rock. They eat mostly insects, but my wife likes to feed them mealworms. They are known for doing what looks like push-ups, which is really a mating and dominance display. Now let's switch to birds. The iconic bird of the desert Southwest is the roadrunner. These guys are members of the cuckoo family, which is why they have wild-looking eyes. They can fly, but as their name implies, they normally stick to the ground, running at up to 20 miles per hour. They are fierce hunters, preferring lizards, which they smash against a rock to kill after catching. They do not go meep meep, their most common vocalization being a chattering sound. People from other parts of the country might be familiar with purple martins, but did you know Arizona is the only place you don't have to build birdhouses for them? They build their nests in holes in saguaros made by woodpeckers. Phainopepla look like black cardinals and are seen mostly in the wintertime. Look for them near clusters of mistletoe. The berries are their main food source that time of year. Their song sounds like a tweet. The cactus wren is the largest wren species in North America and is the Arizona state bird. Look for them hopping around in cholla cactus, where they make their nests in impregnable tangles of thorns. Its song reminds me of the heat of Arizona summers because it is often the only bird you hear on 100-degree days. Next up, mammals, beginning with wily coyote. I often encounter coyotes on my morning run. They follow the washes and are very good at crossing roads without getting hit by cars. You can see how careful this one is. They will approach a house, often at night, and will jump a privacy wall to pursue prey. So be careful of leaving small dogs outside alone. This one came right up to the fountain at our front entrance, checking to see what had been there. So you thought you saw a wild pig? What you actually saw was a javelina, or collared peccary. The peccary family is adjacent to the pig family. Javelina are very common in suburban areas. We normally see them around dusk. They will eat just about anything and will tip over garbage cans to get at scraps. They love seeds and visit our house for the birdseed that falls to the ground and to munch on the Texas ebony tree seeds. Javelina have wicked teeth and are very protective of their young, so don't come between an adult and a baby. They are not aggressive to humans unless they have rabies. Javelina normally travel in groups called squadrons, so if you see one, keep on the lookout for its companions. They have terrible eyesight, so you will likely see them before they see you. I'm always amazed when they come around with the young ones. The babies are constantly underfoot, but somehow never get trampled. Though mountain lions are present in the desert Southwest, bobcats are the most likely feline you might see. I typically encounter them on my morning runs. They certainly don't seem very afraid of humans, do they? This adolescent came right up to the window of our back patio. They are typically born in May, and this video was taken at Christmas, so he was about 6 months old. He was one of a pair that came to drink out of our pool. We enjoyed watching this playful pair for several minutes before they disappeared. Don't be alarmed by their presence. They don't want to attack humans. They're more interested in rabbits and pack rats. Let's just watch for a few seconds while these kitty cats play. There are some fascinating insects in the desert Southwest. The first one we'll look at is the feared Tarantula Hawk, which is a type of spider wasp. They are very easy to spot because they fly quite slowly, and their black bodies and iridescent orange wings are very easy to pick out. They have the second most painful sting in the world, but don't worry, they are not interested in you. Tarantula hawks eat nectar, so you will most often see them hovering around flowers on trees or shrubs like this creosote bush. If you see them scrambling around on the ground, that means they are looking for a tarantula to deposit one of their larvae on. If they find one, they sting it between the legs, which paralyzes it completely, but doesn't kill it. Their larvae burrow into the flesh of the spider, leaving the vital organs until last, and they have consumed it completely. From there, they pupate into an adult. This footage is from a few years back when we saw a tarantula hawk dragging a paralyzed spider into a hole. When we checked back a little later, they were both gone, so the wasp's tenacity paid off. Leafcutter ants are one of my desert favorites. They are easiest to spot when the Palo Verde tree blossoms are dropping, because the petals are a favorite of these ants and the yellow color makes it easy to spot. The ants don't actually eat the leaves or flower petals. Instead, they use it to grow a fungus. Ant larvae eat the fungus directly, and the adults eat a sap that the fungus excretes. Pretty cool. I am always amazed at the long tracks of ants that wind through the desert. They will trek hundreds of feet to gather plant material. If you hike early in the morning, you can often see the trails, even though the ants are not out and about yet. There are several critters that I would have loved to cover, but just didn't have great footage for. The screech owls are fascinating looking, and when they nest in a saguaro, they look very mysterious. Horned owls are huge and magnificent flyers, but it's really tough to get close to them. Cooper's hawks are incredible hunters, but not easy to capture in action. Jackrabbits are incredible sprinters, but I just haven't been able to get good shots. The pinnate beetles are very prevalent, but I've never been able to capture them in action. The praying mantis are around in the desert, but we mostly see them at our hummingbird feeders. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please click like or subscribe below or leave me a comment. Happy trails!